Good evening, everybody. It's Steve with Real Progressives, and I have a wonderful opportunity to speak with someone that I know everyone in the movement has been following, Katie Johnstone of Newslog. She has been putting out some of the most killer articles that represent the left that I've read in a very, very long time. It's been a wonderful experience being able to read people like her, Mike Sionato, and others who have taken a decidedly leftward approach and are unabashedly truth tellers. So with no further ado, let me bring Katie on. Katie, welcome to Real Progressives. How are you tonight?
Hi, Steve. Yeah, nice to meet you.
You as well. So you're from Australia, huh?
Yeah, all the way down under. Yeah.
So how did you get involved in American politics?
Well, my husband's American, so yeah, and he's political, and so yeah, we really both got involved, completely obsessed with the beginning of the Bernie Sanders campaign. That's where it really started, because until then, I'd always kept my finger on the pulse of American politics, but there didn't seem to be any kind of hope. So it was when Bernie came along, I was like, oh, I can get on board with this. This is good. This is a really good thing. So yeah, from that moment where he said that shy little thing where he said that he wanted to become president to Katie Couric. From that point onwards, I joined Bernie groups with my husband, and we got really involved in making memes and doing all of that sort of thing. And then I couldn't get over how badly covered it was. You know, I'm a trained journalist. I'm university trained. I worked in radio journalism for years. And but I had been out of the game. But my news sense was tingling about Bernie Sanders. Like, it just seemed like this incredible story that was not being told at all. In fact, it seemed to be deliberately not being told by the mainstream media. You know, seeing lines and lines of people lining amazing rallies and just all the, it was revolution happening, which is something as a journalist you just live for. That's exactly what you want. But yeah. I had to go from then on. So I got a gig at Inquisitor. I was writing a lot of hard news there, and just writing hard news stories about what was happening in the Bernie Sanders campaign, just to get it covered, really. And then I would write the odd opinion article, comment piece, and they became very popular. So that's how I got started.
Indeed. Well, okay. So I want to tell you, I'm focused, me personally, in my own activism, almost exclusively on economics. But as far as a quote unquote vlogger or a journalist or whatever, I cover all the stuff within the progressive movement. So one of the things that's of interest is that just recently we started linking up heavily with Australian economists. And the Australian Workers' Party and Ian Dooley and University of Adelaide economics professor Stephen Hale. We are even trying to chase down Bill Mitchell and Steve Keen. We are very, very interested in the similarities and quite frankly, the cancer that America has decided it's going to push its American exceptionalism around the world. And we're infecting Australia, quite frankly. You guys have a lot of wonderful things there. And it seems like America's trying to help you guys privatize where you've got nice public services. Have you all been noticing a privatization?
Yeah, that's been happening. Yeah, and that's definitely been interesting to me from a perspective of I'm 42. So I grew up in a very democratic socialist country for the first 15, 20 years. I never saw a homeless person. Always, my parents always felt looked after. And then during the 80s, they started selling things off. We called it selling the silver, selling the family silver. And they sold off our telecommunications company and things like that. And I saw it in action, how badly it went and how crappy things became quickly. So I've seen it in reverse, and I guess that's helpful in my perspective on things. Is that I know that what people are talking about. I know that there's a big fear of big government, and I get that in America. Government's been a very pernicious force on the American people. But it's not actually government that's the problem. It's the corporatism that goes along with it. It's these giant corporations, and smaller people or whatever, who just want to like divert the rivers of tax money into their own coffers, and do a bad job, and be corrupt about it, and just take very easy money for them to do something badly. Here in Australia, I saw that we were doing it very well and cheaply through our government services, and then to turn it over to someone to make money out of it and do it badly. It's kind of like they threw us out of our, like they said, here, sell your house and you can rent it back off us. That's what it felt like, like sell your beautiful house that you've got set up perfectly, and you can rent it back off us. That'll be great. I don't know how they sold that to us too, and they continue to try and do so. There's been more reluctance in the last 5-10 years, I've noticed, because we've noticed how badly it's gone for us to continue. But there is a lot of pressure just to keep selling these things that, my parents' generation and their parents' generation worked very hard to, this infrastructure that they made with their tax money, but then they were getting the benefits of that, of getting cheap services that they had put money towards. So anyway, yeah, it's a really interesting perspective. We can see the illness coming here, but we also have in living memory how it was, and that it doesn't have to be this way.
So, in the States, we've been bastardizing our entire public services infrastructure based on neoliberalism. I mean, neoliberalism came in the 60s, ironically, through the British Labour Party. And when Thatcherism spread throughout the globe, Ronald Reagan bought into it, and the whole gang really, really pushed to eliminate the public purpose and push that out there, Ayn Rand style, to the private sector. And what has happened is you've watched what I call a financialization of the global economy, where the financiers are making money hand over fist because they just keep investing. They take our rents, they take our interest, they take our debt, our personal debt, not our sovereign debt, because that's a totally different story that we could get into sometime, and I certainly would like to. But quite frankly, what's happened is that we in America are watching the most incredibly lopsided growth and economic inequality in the whole globe. I mean, there's like literally no one else that is even coming close to that. And I look over there in Australia, and you guys have some issues coming up now too. I'm watching your housing market really is crazy. I mean, I think you guys are heading onto a bubble here shortly. The costs are through the roof. What similarities do you see, having had that perspective from down under and covering our United States politics? What kind of thing do you see as a common theme, as you cover these sorts of economic situations, as you look at the parallels?
Well, I think, look, I think mostly philosophically, and I'm sad to say this, I grew up in a country that decided that it would look after each other. That, if there are disabled people or people, we just decided that that's the way it was, and so that's how I was brought up. That your tax money goes towards goods and services and stuff, and to helping the vulnerable people. We've had the government come down very hard on the social services of the most vulnerable people in our country, and decided to just take back money that they considered that they'd they'd already given to people in the forms of welfare payments, and now they want it back. And these are people who can barely afford, they were living hand to mouth as it was, and now they're getting bills back of $5,000, $10,000. That's it used to be that it would be part of the government service. So if you incurred a debt like that, then you could pay it over time, interest free. But they've handed these over to collection agencies who, harass people, ringing them all the time, and over money that the government is trying to take back off people. But it was, even if they did overpay, it was their mistake that they overpaid anyway. So it's really their arrears that they're trying to bring back from the people who can least afford it. So that really worried me recently. Like that's a demonizing of the poor that we haven't really had in Australia until recently. That's that bootstrapping mentality that the American dream gives you. We're definitely taking that on as our own thing, and people have become very mean about their so-called entitlements, and how they worked hard for what they have, and they don't want anyone touching it, and all of these weird little things that I didn't used to hear in the Australian narrative.
Now, I'll tell you this, and I don't want to go too far because I have a whole bunch of stuff I really want to cover with you, but I want to get it on your radar, because if you actually read this stuff and you research it, and I'm not telling you we're going to do it on this show or whatever, but if you do and you read what I'm about to tell you, and in your quiet time you come back and you say, oh my goodness, Steve has a point, I would love it if you would come back on this show and say that. If you don't find it that way, it's okay. Okay, I'm just going to tell you straight up, it's okay. But I believe in my heart of hearts, and this is not a belief, I shouldn't say that. I've studied immensely. I used to be, honestly, a right-wing Republican, and I was a Austrian, I was a LO-Libertarian, as I call them, a libertarian, I was far right. And slowly but surely, I learned economics. Now, I have an MBA, which means nothing. It means I learned the orthodoxy. And so all the things that you've heard and known, everybody has grown up living and learning, which is that your taxes pay for things, and so on and so forth. And I never understood what monetary sovereignty meant, and I never understood where money actually came from. And as I did my research, I got really plugged in with these really, really wonderful economists, the real ones, not the armchair guys who sit there at keyboard warriors, but the actual ones that write and do this research, like Warren Mosler, Stephen Hale, Bill Mitchell, Ellis Winningham, Stephanie Kelton, Pavlina Cherneva, all these people. And what it comes down to is that our government and your government are both monetarily sovereign. In other words, we create our own money. We create it for the government purpose. So by fiat means the government has control over its money supply. It creates the money. So when they say they're broke, they're lying to us. They say that they've got to raise taxes on the poor. They got to raise taxes on you. We got to pay for stuff. They're lying to us because they create the money. Every time our Congress in the United States writes a bill, they issue orders to put that money into creation. Every time we tax dollars, we issue orders to delete that money. Spending brings new money in. Taxes take money out. They don't actually take the paper bills. There's only a very small amount of those actually printed. The vast majority of our money is in spreadsheets and digital dollars. And so they tell the Fed or whoever, keystroke in $10,000. They go, okay, $10,000, boom. It's now $10,000. They say keystroke $1 million, $1 million. That's how it works. And then when you tax, they delete $10 million. They delete $5, whatever. So it's always ins and outs, taxes out, spending in, you know what I mean? So when I hear this stuff, they use it as a tool. So think about it. If me and you are on opposite sides of the aisle, I'll take the right-wing position, you can take the left-wing position. Your natural inclination is to tell me, Stephen, we've got to take care of our poor. We've got to take care of our people. We've got to do this. So we've got to tax so we can raise funds so that we can pay for things. Well, I'm the right-wing guy, and I say, I don't want my taxes going to pay for your irresponsibility. I don't want to pay for your student loans. I don't want to pay for your medical bills. And all of a sudden you're like, well, you're just a bad person, and nothing gets done. Every single time we go like this and nothing gets done. Well, I'm here to tell you it's a ruse. It's one of the biggest ruses of them all. And they keep us fighting at the bottom while the wealth gap grows. They keep us in debt because we got to go borrow money because we say, we've got to cut government spending. We've got to cut government spending. And government spending is the only way that you and I get money, because government is the creator of the money. Businesses don't create money. They just change hands with money. The government is the creator of the money. So if we're a net exporter, which we are, or net importer, which we are, that means our dollars are leaving our country. So think of it as a tub. Every time our dollars leave the country, the tub goes like this. And eventually we hit a recession. Then all of a sudden they've got to have a stimulus bill. We got to fill the tub back up. And then they start doing things again, and the tub shrinks. And oh, the next administration comes. Oh my God, Bush had this. Oh my God, so-and-so did that. And that's what they do every single time. And I'll tell you, I will send you the stuff offline. If you think I'm crazy, that's okay. But I want you to hear this from me, because it is the only thing I've ever read that you have written that I said, I've got to talk to her about. That's the only thing. And I was like, because you are such a...
Really exciting.
What's that?
That's really exciting.
It is. It could change the world. Green energy today. Single payer today. Tell them, hell no, F you, we are not taking it. Fix our lives today. Fix our planet today. Fix our water today. And if we can get people on board, we're like fist in the air. Let's do this thing. And that's what I'm saying. I was like, oh my God, I got to talk to her. I've got to talk to her. I'm serious. It's like life changing. And I'm telling you right now, we're not going to talk about this much more, but I wanted you to hear this from me, because it is the single most important thing in my life. My fiance, my family lets me do this almost 24 hours a day, because they believe in my message so much. They know that I live this. I literally believe. Once the light bulbs came on, I was a Republican. Remember, I was the conservative. I was that guy. So for me to be a far radical lefty now, because I recognize that they're not taking my taxes. Even if they did now, it wouldn't matter. But the point is, once the light bulbs went on, I realized this is the unifier. I can go to a Republican and say, I know you love your kids too. You don't have to love mine. It's okay. You love your own. So we're going to get them free college. We're going to get them single payer health care. We're going to take care of the environment for them. We're going to do it all for everyone. We're going to build infrastructure. We have all these great things, and your kids are going to benefit from it too. And you don't have to worry about it. We don't have to jack your taxes up to pull it off. That's one of my messages. So anyway.
Well, I really want that. I really, really want that. I want that. I want that really bad.
I will send it.
I mean, the only divide that they have, I see the left and the right divide really is a father and a mother arguing. It's, the fatherly sort of like, well, I've got to protect my family. I've got to look after my kids and stuff like that. And I can't have outsiders coming in and that's that very protective boundary. And the mother who's like, well, no, but look, there's other people's children and we've got to look after the planet and we've got to, if we could just stop arguing about that and get on with it, that would be fantastic.
I mean, think about it. This is in Australia. It's your national resources, your national treasures. They are your servants. You're like jokers. The money you're creating right there, that's our national treasure. That's not the wealthy's treasure. That's our treasure. And we want to survive. Feed us, help us. And that's what I want to say to our powers. That's what I want to tell Bernie Sanders even. And you know what? Bernie Sanders' top economist, her name was Stephanie Kelton. You got to look her up. She is a chief MMT guru. He brought all the MMTers, the people, modern monetary theory, onto his team. L. Randall Wray, William Black, his entire platform. He said $33 trillion in new spending over 10 years. You can't tax $33 trillion. And he said, I'm going to do a Wall Street speculation tax. Okay, well, what's speculation tax? It's a behavior modification tax. Once you modify the behavior, the revenue goes away. So what do you do about the program? See, it was all a ruse because we all believe that taxes fund spending, when in fact taxes don't fund spending. Here's another trick, and I'm going to move on to another subject. If a country that issues its own currency doesn't tax in that currency, it becomes worthless. So by fiat, governments used to sit there when you had the king. The king would say, I want to build a road today. I'd like to build a castle. How can I get my people to do it without making them slaves? I'll give them a gold coin. I don't need a gold coin. I just want to go fishing. What's gold to me? Who cares, right? So he says, I tell you what, I'll impose a tax on you that if you don't pay the tax, I'll come and take your home. How do you like that, Mr. Man? He goes, in fact, I think I'll build you a road. In fact, I'll take your gold coin. Now, all of a sudden, your gold coin matters to me. So that's how fiat currency began back in the day. That's why you hear people go, income tax is illegal. It shouldn't be. But you need that. Even you can lower it. That's the thing. We don't have to raise it. We can actually lower it and bring prosperity for all. We could eliminate taxes for the poor. We can do all kinds of stuff. The world is our oyster. We choose to thwart it with these pitched battles that the establishment puts us in to keep us begging for crumbs. If we fight about taxes, then we don't focus on the real problem. And that is what they're doing to us at Wall Street and all the other financial markets around the world, where they push us to private debt, and those people make money on us hand over fist, sitting on their yacht, smoking their cigars, drinking their Grand Marnier, while we're sitting there struggling to pay our electric bill. So I'm telling you right now, I think I got the keys to the kingdom. I'd like to share them with you. With that, I really do hope I blew your mind. That's the most important thing. If I blew your mind, this tonight was the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, you did blow my mind. You did blow my mind. You know, and it marries in with what I've been seeing, and the way that the story is being pushed and pulled all the time. And the experience in Australia here is that when I was growing up, the economy, they talked a lot about stimulation and about consumer confidence. That was a key term. So they wanted money to go into the hands of poor people, because they spend it right away, and then it goes to cafes, it goes to small businesses, it feeds it into the economy, and everyone feels great and happy. And that's what money's meant to do. And somewhere along the line, that has been changed. Now we can talk about an economy not being in recession. Apparently the American economy is not in recession, even though there doesn't seem to be any money flowing around normal people.
It's the slowest part. It's the most awful recovery in the history of our planet. It has been a flat line. It has literally been a flat line, like muy poquita, just the slightest edge up, which is really a non-recovery. I believe that when people talk about a great collapse and stuff like that, they're just talking out their butts. But the reality is there's enough there when you think about fiat currency. It's not so much that the system can break down. It's really a matter of how they allocate things and how they push things around and the levers, So, you hear a lot of conspiracy theorists jump on the Federal Reserve crap. I can eat them for lunch. I do it daily. I will continue to do it daily. Not because I like the Fed. Fed's got plenty of blemishes on it. It's awful. They're bad people. They're rich. They're evil, whatever. But the fact is that don't make them sexier than they are. These guys are scorekeepers only. They adjust the Fed funds interest rate to get you and I in debt. That's what central banks do. They keep us in debt. They manage interest rates, things like that. In our country, when Congress is the only one that has the power to authorize new money creation. So when you talk about all the myths and legends that you hear, the non-econ people that have read, do I have it still down here? I have a book, just so I can show you. I always keep it around just to laugh at people. I have this book right here, so people know that I've read all the wacko stuff. I used to be a wacko myself, and so I have it. You're not telling me anything I don't know, my friends out there that want to tell me about the creature from Jekyll Isle. But I was a Ron Paul guy, so I know all the warped mythology. But the reality is that when you think about it, our Congress has been getting off the hook, because back in the 70s, Milton Friedman said, hey, we got to worry about monetary policy, no more fiscal policy. Well, who owns fiscal policy? In other words, a creation of new money. That would be Congress. Congress is the only one with the power to write money into law. And so you hear about quantitative easing, and all that is debt swaps. They're moving debt from here to there and there to here to kind of make money move again. And it really is not a very effective tool. But we blame them for it. And the reality is asking monetary policy to get the economy going is like pushing a string up a hill. It doesn't work. So the only way to really get velocity of money going is to give the people money. Give them money. And so why not give them a federal job guarantee? Why not do all these things? Why not give us free health care? I mean, that money will get cranking. People will need more jobs and you'll know what to do with it. It's insane. Why? I don't get it. But anyway, I'm going to send you stuff.
There is I mean, I think the problem is that there is a genuine fear of the apocalypse.
Yes.
There you go. Say it out loud. There are people prepping all the time for different reasons, you know, the financial apocalypse or the climate apocalypse or whatever. And what I find fascinating about that is that it's all under the premise that when, you know, a giant catastrophe occurs to us, we will suddenly lose all our humanity and go rogue and go into this kind of like, we'll have to get guns and hunker down in trenches and trench foot. And, like, it's just, we know throughout history, like, you know, just the tsunami in Indonesia or wherever, like when genuine massive tragedies happen,
yes,
the humans collaborate. They do it straight away. Their helper comes out. The best part of us comes out as soon as something tragic happens. We all get on board and we fix it, and that's going to happen anytime we have but somehow we've got this bizarre apocalyptic narrative going on here that when it finally drops, when the meteor finally drops or whatever people are talking about, we're all going to deny. We're going to do exactly the opposite to what we've always done.
Right.
So, so I think one of the things I would like to see is people drop their fear of that. Like, you know, we're coming into a new age. We're going to have to do something different. It's going to have to be radically different.
Yes.
And we're just going to have to drop the fear that, you know, like, even if we didn't have, like, whatever for a little while, we would be okay. Yes. In fact, we would be more than okay. We'd find our soul again, you know. We'd come back to who we really are.
I love it.
And we would start being creative again, together, collaborating to create what we want in this new world. So that's not something to fear. Like, that is actually something that we can go towards and go, well, fuck that's yeah, right. Bring it on.
I love it. Yes.
What happens, we can do it.
You're awesome. So I'm going to shift gears momentarily because I'm so excited. Like, I'm like flush, so excited. This has been such a fun conversation. So I want to ask you, because I know how difficult this is. You write words, they're from your heart. You can tell when someone is writing the kinds of stuff that come out of the progressive movement, not the fake progressive movement, the real progressive movement, the true progressives of the world. It's passion. There's truth behind it, but it's like full of conviction. And I think that's what separates us from the progressives who get things done people, right? Tell me what it's like to be a woman of conviction in the world today as you speak truth to power, as you play this narrative that we love, but obviously we're fighting an entrenched enemy. What has it been like for you in that role?
It's been scary. It really has. You know, it's been scary at points. Definitely, whether or not they're paid trolls as well. I've had paid trolls come after me. But actually, what more worries me is the creepy, obsessive ones that it just seems to be they've decided that that's their job in life to follow me around or to go and smear me to other people. That is scary, and I don't like it. But at the same time, I can't stop. So I'm just going to keep going. And, I have like a really wonderful group of people around me in my real life, but also online who help me a lot. And they will call people out and they will tell people to back down when they're getting too creepy or weird. So I'm feeling more and more safe than I was at the beginning when it was kind of half and half what I was getting. I was getting people who were like, yeah, keep saying this. You're onto it. Keep going. and then these other people who are just shut that bitch down,
Yeah.
that bitch down hard.
Oh my God.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's been a bit of both. I'm not going to stop. I can't stop until it's fixed.
That's
And
right.
that's what I tell them, you fix it and I'll go away. But until
Yes.
my babies don't have a healthy planet, for me to hand over to them, then I'm not stopping. So fuck you.
Yes. Oh God, you are truly a spirit creature of my own here. I love it.
So yeah, well, I mean, this is important. This is crunch time, and I am willing to do anything that I have to make this happen. We need to switch. We need to switch 180 too. We can't just go half a degree one way or the other. That's not going to avert where we're headed to. Like we need to turn around fully.
Oh
and that's
my
going
God.
to
Yes. I want to interrupt you for a minute because this is a very key point in my opinion. I hear Democrats saying constantly, we support environmental change. We want to fix the environment. We really care about the environment. Honestly, we care about the environment, but we're going to support a fracking queen. We're not going to support a ban on fracking. We're going to go ahead and do all these environmentally killing things. I liken it to, there was this movie, and I'm going to butcher it, but there was a movie where Liam Neeson and a bunch of other guys went off into Alaska or something like that, and they went through the woods and these wolves were chasing them. And I can't remember, I think it was The Gray or something like that. But anyway, this guy falls into a creek. And when he falls into the creek, his foot gets trapped in a log. The water is right here. Now, he can put his nose up like this, but the water's still there. He can see he's like that close to life, but he can't do it. And that's what the Democrats do. The Democrats sit there and they dangle these quote unquote fixes, but they start from a position of weakness. They cave in, and then you get nothing. And they're like, well, see, we gave you health care. No, you didn't. You gave insurance bailouts. You didn't give us health care, you lying sons of bitches. And so when you talk about a 180, this is to me what is imperative about the progressive movement. See, a lot of people, especially the Dem-Enter folks, that are absolutely driving me crazy with this equivocation. They're like, well, we're going to go in there, we're going to change the party. But, we're going to have to compromise some guys. We're going to have to compromise. We're just going to have to do some compromise. Fuck, exactly. I'm so sick of that. If you really believe the planet is in trouble, if you really believe it, then you don't have time to compromise. This is what it's about, being in a battle. And sometimes we're going to have to support some, person like Claire McCaskill, who is basically a Republican. We're just going to have to do it because that's just what we have to do. I'm like, screw you. No, you don't. Stop lying to me. Stop gaslighting me. You're the antidote to gaslighting, Katie. So talk to me about that. I want to hear your stance on that.
Well, I mean, we suck at that stuff, at negotiation anyway. Like, I think part of the progressive thing is that we're the meek, intelligent ones, and that hasn't gone that well for us over, millennia. We kind of stood back, watched what's going on, like with going, oh, this is terrible, but being too kind of scared or unsure of ourselves or weird about not being absolutely correct. We're a little bit pedantic about what we do. We don't throw ourselves into things and go, no, I'm right. I'm pretty much right anyway. I'm right enough. So let's go. So yeah, we're crappy at negotiation. I think when you looked at the DNC chair race.
Oh yes.
I mean, okay. We went in there with our compromised candidate. We went in there with a pretty shitty candidate and they still didn't give him to us. We got to go in there with Sam Ronan and say, we want that guy. He's the guy we want. And then maybe a compromise, then maybe they would have given us Ellison. But we're so kind of hung back and, oh, well, maybe if we, and we make all the compromises for them. These guys are assholes.
Yes.
And they know how to negotiate. That's why they've got lots and lots of money, and that's why we don't have lots of money. They know that you don't come in with lowball, with your best offer. You come in with what you really, really want, and then maybe you compromise backwards.
So I'm going to tell you something that breaks my heart. So I've interviewed both Kenneth Mejia and Sam Ronan twice each. And both of them are people that I really like a lot. Okay, I'm not going to demeanor. I appreciate Sam. I like Sam a lot, and I support Sam in so much as what he's doing. However, in talking with them, Sam was unable to endorse Kenneth Mejia because Kenneth Mejia, even though he ran as a Democrat during the primaries with Bernie, he came back and he's now running as a Green in a special election. Now, Kenneth is the most progressive candidate we have in that entire lineup. He is airtight. He's a millennial. He is a great, great guy. And Sam likes him a lot, agrees with him a lot, but because of party politics, Sam is unable to endorse him, unable to do public photo ops because it will look bad on him in the world. That is why I don't care how much we talk about the Democratic Party, how they got a great feel. When you see somebody that you know cares about each other and you know would be a support, you know if they got in office, it would be the best thing for the country, and you can't do it because of party politics and the optics of it, that is a serious problem. That is why I cannot support the demeanor strategy, because anytime you have to select party over principles, I can't do it. It's got me like apoplectic. I'm really, really bothered, deep in my soul bothered by that, because I really believe Sam is a good guy. And I really believe in Kenneth. I mean, like really believe, like to the point where I'm willing to phone back for Kenneth. So the idea that two guys who are fighting for progressive causes can't come together because of the word Green and Democrat, there's a real problem there. That bothers me. It should be progressive, you know?
Well, it should, yeah. I mean, there's some sort of banner that should be under kind of like, better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Justice, something like that. Because I'm not even sure, like, this tribalism, I think, is something that we're starting to unpick with our fingernails now. And there is wisdom to be found in all areas,
Sure.
I get a lot of libertarian readers. And they will come on and say, well, I don't agree with, everything that you say, but I like what some of it is. And we've got to start collaborating and, sharing our wisdom and sharing our kind of perception of we're all looking at this thing from a slightly different angle. And there is wisdom in all those different angles,
Sure.
And so I think, and that's something that I've had to work on in myself, like the kind of breaking down of those tribal things. I think, I don't know when it was, but at some point I decided I was just going to have to start talking to Trump supporters and finding out what they saw in him.
Yes.
Because, I couldn't just keep calling them Nazis and dismissing them as racist. Without ever finding out, why they were so passionate about him and what they really wanted to know. And what I found out was very interesting to me. I'm a lefty who, especially during the 90s, I joined a lot of anti-globalist protests in front of the Trade Center and stuff like that. The anti-globalist movement was, I was really big into that. And it turns out that's what a lot of these Trump guys are into as well. And they have a totally different take on it than what I do. But they definitely see the problems in globalizing everything and how that this is, a big monster that we're all facing.
Right. Now, I see a comment from Amy Smith. She goes, I'm not going to share this. It's the first time. It's because you're dogging Sam Ronan. And I in no way, shape, or form am I dogging Sam. I love Sam to death. I support him. I will bring him back on. I absolutely love the guy. I'm not dogging him at all. I'm dogging the situation of the way the structure of the duopoly holds people who are otherwise progressive friends that are compatriots and are on the same team, but they're separated by that party line. This is not a dog of Sam. I feel sorry that Sam is in that prison. This is not his making. He didn't create this situation. This is not on him at all. This is about the party and the way the party holds people in line. Because if you do one thing, and I've talked to so many people about this, and you can talk to them and you can watch how the state parties and the county parties and all the levels of the party politics play out. And what happens is that there is a lot of backdoor dealing in these things. There is a lot of, I got you. If you ever say anything about this, I got this on you. And if you ever say anything about this, I got this on you. And it's all about, oh my God, do you remember that one picture we took of you in 1995 where you were sitting there smiling with some friend? Where we're going to tell them that you were over there trading secrets with Russia, or we're going to do this or that. And so this is the stuff that holds people back, because in my mind, the thing that should bring us all together is Justice Democrats. They're progressives. Then I don't like their strategy, but they're a part of it. They're progressives. And if we could all unite in a coalition, like many other countries have coalition governments, even though we have a duopoly, we still have a coalition that we could build with the progressive movement. And eventually, instead of allowing the corporate Dems to have any say over what we do with our lives, we could, as a coalition, support one another. But because of that party structure,
I totally, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I don't want anybody to think I'm dogging Sam. My God.
No, and I definitely don't either. And I support Sam 100%. Even in saying I trust him. And if he thinks that he can't do that, he can't endorse or be seen with him because of where he's at. Exactly. I trust him. Because I feel like he's plugged in and he knows what he has to do.
Yep.
I think what you're seeing is the very near future, where we will be able to come back and blow those tribal walls down. Right now, though, I see that we're kind of all in like little commando guerrilla groups. Yep. of fighting our own battles, and we have to have our own set of kind of beliefs and work within the system that we're working within. But you can always tell a person, like you can tell your people. so it's fine.
I love Sam. I've talked to him so many times, and I got some people that were angry at me. You're trying to sheepdog. I'm like, screw you, man. I'm not. I just recognize that in order for us to do more than make a whimper, in order for us to just be more than a protest movement, we've got to have a broad coalition of people, and it can't be a bunch of centrists milking down. Because, like, again, you and I both have just said, our environment is in a position where we can't screw around. People are dying every day. We can't screw around. People are going without health care every day. We can't screw around. So we don't have time to pussyfoot. We need to build these coalitions, and we need to build them now to save lives, not for party purity, but for progressive purity, in the sense of us all coming together. I don't care about parties. I really, really don't. I've been a Democrat. I'm not looking at the Democrat. I'm looking at the progressive movement wherever it goes. And that's our stance. Everywhere we've gone, everything we've ever said, real progressives support real progressives wherever they are, party be damned. And that's our goal, is to support the progressive movement. So anyway, that's...
Yeah, I'd like to make a little definition though.
Sure.
What you described before, in the Democrat Party, where they've got like things on each other and stuff and little promises and everything. There's a word for that. It's called corruption.
Yes,
and
it is.
That's So that's and extortion and blackmail, and there's a lot of words that you associate with the mafia. So I don't think that's what's happening with Sam, though. I think, he's just not able to say those words, but sure, every one of his actions shows that he supports the whole movement. Yes. So I'm more about watching people's actions than listening to the words that they may or may not have to say. It's almost like, little kids who might be have abusive parents who will lie about what's going on. It's sure, okay for them to lie. That's yes, an okay lie. That because, they it's
a great analogy. I like that.
Yeah, well, because and Sam, in going into that giant, horrible place, it is in a dangerous environment where some words will harm him.
Yeah,
there are things that he can't say.
Yeah, but see, that's what you just stated. It's not about Sam. None of that was about Sam. Every bit of that was about the structure. It was about the wickedness within that corrupt system. that keeps him in a situation where he can't do that. You know what I mean? Because obviously his heart is progressive. There's no question. Every single step along the way, I heard him. And I think that's instructive for our movement as we look at what we're doing is you see the devil in the details is not the people that are trying to make the change. It's the system. It's the structure that is blocking people from being able to make that meaningful change. That's the thing that we've got to break down. And I think, God forbid, the inside strategy here is a noble one. I don't know that it'll work, just to be honest with you, because it's so many, they built it so many layers deep to prevent a coup d'etat within the party. And you saw how they did Bernie down, and you've seen how they've killed every movement going all the way back to Rainbow Push and others throughout history. The Democratic Party is where movements go to die. So the question is, can we do anything? Water finds the weakest point. I'm willing to push forward and make whatever we can because I care about my 9 kids. Oh, you didn't know I have 9 kids.
You've got 9 kids. Bless. Oh, bless.
This is serious for me. You know what I'm saying? So for me, when I think about this, I don't give 2 rats, what's where it comes party-wise. My goal here is I know what I stand for. I stand for a combination of Bernie's platform and Jill Stein's platform, making up what I'll call, just for lack of a better term, a Green New Deal. That's what they called it, but it really is a Green New Deal. It really is a beautiful, it's like exactly what the doctor ordered. And if we can pull that together, it's not going to happen with just the Greens. The Greens got 1%. Even if miraculously they got 1 million more percent, it would still not have enough. And we need to find a way to bring a coalition together. There's an individual, and I don't know if you've spoken to her yet, but I'd really like you to. Her name is Erica Bloss, and she runs something called the Progressive Independent Party. And she works with Nick Branya. And
I've spoken to Nick.
Okay.
Spoken to Nick.
So this whole little coalition, we worked with Shama and Calvin with Socialist Alternative for the Occupy inauguration and Disrupt J20. We worked with the Green Party. We worked with Democrats as well. We worked with everybody, all the Standing Rock people. We had treasure trove of Chase Iron Eyes. We had Tim Canova out there. We had Chris Hedges. A host of people came out there. And it was really, really awesome to see this group come together for a purpose. And that purpose was to talk about how we can move forward. And to me, tribalism, like you said, is very, very difficult right now because the Greens want to stay green. They're very protective of green, and I understand why. And then on the other hand, you got the socialist alternatives that are very protective of being a socialist alternative. And you have People's Front of Judea and the Judean People's Front and all that good Life of Brian stuff. But if you can build a coalition, if you can build an umbrella that pulls them all in, even if it's a loose coalition of where everybody agrees to certain things and you can work on that structure, I think we win. I think we can win. We need the numbers. The numbers aren't there, by our own little tribes. The tribes themselves. I mean, look, the Democratic Party, as big and bad as it is, lost to Donald Trump. They lost to Donald Trump. They lost. They did it to themselves.
And they would lose again.
Yes, they
I think that's the whole plan. If you can call it that. Yes. So I see all of that, but I actually see that all of that is a good thing right now. Mm-hmm. I can't see the tribal walls breaking down in the very near future. I can see that happening soon. I think we need a strong Dem enter still, because most Americans have no idea how corrupt the Democrats are. Most of them weren't watching the Bernie campaign as closely as we were. Most of them still think that Hillary was the lesser evil. So, I mean, for real, they really do. So, and like a lot of them are like right now, defending them, while the Democrats are in a coalition with the neocons and the CIA.
Yes.
And they're still on their side. They're still on their side. They're not looking around going, why am I standing on the same battle line as John McCain? What happened here?
That's great.
mean, the other foot has not fallen there. So we've still got to keep pushing them, and the only way to push them is to push them from within. The Democrats would love if we just left them alone, if we just went and had a nice little safe little party that, got maybe 20% of the vote, and we all pat ourselves on the back and stuff, and we made a good showing or whatever, and they got on with doing exactly what they want to do over and over again. That disgusting thing that they keep wanting to do, without anyone inside it going, hey, what is that? Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? And that's all I see Sam Ronan and Tulsi Gabbard and a few others doing, is saying, Tulsi, I mean, how cool is the Stop Funding Terrorists Act? Like, the fact you can't do that from the outside. You can do it from the inside. What a cool thing that is. And she did that within the democratic structure and pointed right at a grave sickness. And they hate that. They don't. So I see both sides of it. Sure.
And that's why I love you. I'm so happy to have you on here, because I'll tell you a story. I'm going to, Ellis, if you're watching, forgive me. So in the economic community, okay, there's certain things that it's really important to be pure about, because it's not a matter of opinion, it's truth. And then there are things that are opinion. Then you get into ideology, where it's like, well, we could do this or we could do that. And that's a political statement. And everybody has a right to have a different opinion. You don't have a right to have different facts. Facts are facts, right, and they're kind of facts no matter what. But when you start getting into how I would like to see the world, that's an opinion. And that's a perfectly fine thing to differ on. Just like Dem enter, Dem exit, this, that. Whatever your stance is, the bottom line is that we're all fighting for progress. And I see that, even though it's painful. I've always believed we have to have an inside-outside strategy. That you can sit there and say that the Dem enter strategy will be good on its own, but you need a Dem exit strategy to keep calling them out and to grow. And if they're not ready to take the reins, they need to be able to go in there and knock them down. And so when I see the Dem enters, it's like, I can be supportive, to the sense that as long as you are willing to call out Democrats who are not doing right. But if you sit there and you start doing that soft pedaling, we can't all be pure, blah, blah, blah. That's when I'm like, you know what? You just sold your soul. I don't care how much. This is the way, because people hear that and they go, well, you can't do that. And then all of a sudden you get a milquetoast non-movement going on. Because,
right.
You know what I mean?
You don't want that.
No, you need,
you go in there to agitate. You go in there to hold your moral fortitude. It's an old-fashioned concept, but we need it right now. You need to hold your shape. And I think that's the beautiful thing about Sam Ronan is that he went in there as Sam Ronan, holding his shape morally and ethically, and said all Sam Ronan's things. He didn't worry about hurting people's feelings or making them feel uncomfortable or all of that shit. He just stood there as himself. He went into Sam Ronan and he made them change around him. That whole last, I think it was a forum just before the vote, he made them adapt to his presence. He didn't mold to the yucky sickness that they were all molding to. He became a full thing, and then they had to say things like, okay, so maybe it was rigged, and maybe we do need to do something about that. And I saw Sally Boynton Brown. She took that space that he gave and used it and said, all right, I think that there's a point that needs to be made here and stuff. But he also showed up a lot of the other ones who just didn't, had to look weird and awkward when he was telling the truth. Right. So he showed them up as well. So that's, there's no point in going in there just to go along with the crowd.
No, exactly. Let me say something here too. I think it was less than 11% voted or something like that in the primaries. And it was and I think some staggeringly low number in the general election as well. And you think to yourself, what would it take to get, I don't know, 10 million people that never voted before to vote, right? What would it take
Probably,
to get 10 million people? You know?
yeah,
I mean,
not
if you
not that much.
no, it really, in my opinion, and it's just an opinion, right? Because I truly support destroying the duopoly. It's not about them or Republic. I want to see options. I want to see us find enough people to go in there, break it down, so that we can have more representative government. Right now, a Boolean situation of either or is just not satisfying. And I think, the Green Party has a lot of challenges. Let's just be fair. And, my ideology aligns far more closely to the Green Party than what the Democratic Party is. I've been a Democrat and it doesn't represent me. When I think to myself, what would it be like to have a legitimate, you get up on the stage, you debate, you got the 3 candidates, 4 candidates up there, not like some coalition that blocks them out, but just let people have opinions, let people have choices and see that. I think that our country gets better with a better dialogue. Because what happened? The minute Bernie was out and they wouldn't let Jill on the stage, what happened? You smell like poo. No, you smell like poo. No, you got a funny face. No, you've got a mangina. No, you've got it. And all of a sudden they're I didn't hear one thing about single payer. I didn't hear one thing about real environmental change. I didn't hear anything about citizen benefits again. It was all bullshit, the chef's salad at that point. And then it became, my superior ideology for how I'm going to blow the planet up surpasses yours. And, and it was like stupid. And I sat there and I was like, holy shit, I live in freaking Nazi Germany. These two are both fascist dictators. I don't want anything to do with either of them. It's horrible. I mean, literally horrible. So I don't know how to get
I mean, I really look forward to having a forum where people can have real ideas and put them out there and talk about with excitement about what they want to do with the country and know that it won't be sabotaged.
Right.
That, just to move forward in a creative way and make something really, really cool and really beautiful and make a beautiful life for everyone. I really look forward to that. There's at the moment I don't see any difference between the Republicans and the Democrats. I think the neoliberal and the neocons are exactly the same animal, except one will wave a rainbow flag and the other one carries a gun, and that's what they get us fighting on. But they're exactly the same policy platform of endless wars, Walmart economy, and just sucking up as much tax money as they can from the poor and giving it to the rich. That's all they really want to do. They don't really care whether or not you can get an abortion. That's just something that,
distraction.
They can get everyone fighting on. A distraction, yeah. So it's a two-headed monster, and so there does need to be very much an alternative of any kind. Any difference would be good. But yeah, wouldn't it be wonderful to have a whole forum of people throwing together ideas and coming up with something really amazing and then being able to put it into action.
Yes.
With the will of the people, with people saying, yeah, well, we want that, and then it happening. Wow.
Absolutely. Well, hey, I'm going to throw something. I'll throw something at you because we're up on the hour here. I mean, I'm not a network, so we can go forever, but I want to be respectful of your time. One of the things that I'd like to see somebody start covering and paying attention to is the GOP is really, really seeking to get that last state house so that they can call a constitutional convention and push forward the thing that would literally bring this country to its knees, and that is a balanced budget amendment that would destroy our ability to take care of the poor, take care of the environment, take care of anything. It would literally destroy us. It's a right-wing thing. They've been dying for it. The Pete Peterson Foundation has been pushing for it. There's a host of right-wingers, the Pauls, all the libertarians, the Kochs, etc. They're all pushing for this. You ought to dig in. I'm telling you, it's something. It's coming. It's a battle that we need to be aware of, and it may be the biggest battle that we'll ever face in this country. And it's going to come by very, very subtle means. and it's going to be very, very devastating when it hits. So keep your eyes out on that.
Okay.
Would
All right.
would
That's
you be
the
willing to
clue.
come
Thanks
back?
for the.
Would you be willing to come back?
Sure.
I love it.
Sure.
This
Yeah.
is fantastic. I had so much fun talking to you, and this is our first time ever talking.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I like it this way because I like, it makes it, the getting to know you factor is really fun to me.
Awesome.
So,
I like
yes,
it.
it's nice to get to know you.
Absolutely. You as well.
Okay.
All right. With that, I'm going to go ahead and say goodnight to you. And folks, I'm going to say goodnight to you as well. Thank you very much, Katie. I hope to have you back real soon. All right. Bye-bye,
No worries,
everybody.
Steve. Thank you.
Yep. All right. And we're